Hello. Right, I thought I'd do just a quick update on Sandy the Landy. And I thought because I was thinking about this after I stuck this video up. And it was a bit downbeat because I was a bit pissed off. But you know, I thought I'm going to show you from underside the car, show you from underneath the car what it is that I was looking at when I first did my assessment of this thing. And how it was, the original scope of this thing was restoration. Which is more around just maintaining it as it stood, rather than a full restoration. So let's go and have a quick gander under the motor. Now it's still in the field at the moment, as you can see, and I'm kind of going to be battling with nettles and shit, but we'll see if we can get this done. Right, so I'm doing it with the light on the camera, the flash is on. So there's quite a bit of this going on here, where you can see a brand new outrigger has been welded onto the chassis. And you look at that and you think, do you know what, they've done a half decent job of that. And then most of the chassis rail looks like this. So this is underneath the driver's footwell. In fact, you can see the handbrake up there. So we're now venturing underneath the seat box, and you can see a bloody great big patch has been welded along here, but it's steel. It's been welded, seam welded all the way along. Okay, that's not too bad. Again, you can see this outrigger here has been replaced at some point, and then this patch has gone over the top. So far, I'm thinking, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It looks all right. It's had some work done to it. Seen worse, seen better. Shame that the worst one was this one. Right, now, if we go under the bit, so we're underneath now. This is the affected area. Now I've been hitting this, belting this, and you can see here I've broken some of the welds under here. So I just wanted to clarify how bad this was, and I've just kneeled on a bloody nettle. Let's find a dock leaf. Oh, there's one. Right, so under here, this is the section where the steel has been wrapped right around the chassis rail. Now, can you see that? Yes. There's a very, very, very fine weld along here. It's not beautiful, it's okay. And there's a weld along the bottom of the chassis along here. And it's very, very similar to the one on the other side. But you look at that from outside of the car and you think, yes, chassis had a few repairs on it, but it looks all right. That looks okay, doesn't it? And this is kind of where I was with it. It's only when I've been really belting it that things like that have started to give the game away. Yeah, and it's just reiterated my decision that this chassis is scrap, because it has been dressed and bodged too much. Now, had I not taken the fuel tank out, had I not bothered to take the fuel tank out, then I wouldn't have seen all of this crap, which you guys have seen. I'm not going to go into there again because bloody nettle rash. I'm not going to go into there again because you know what it looks like. So those that say, and even when you look in here, so we're looking in here, you can see the top of the chassis rail. I mean, obviously it's all lit because there's no boot floor in there. You see the top of the chassis rail and you think, you know, that didn't look too bad, does it? That looks all right. Now, having been here now if I go in here, this is the top of the driver's side rail. You can see where the steel has been wrapped over the top of the rail. You can see it clearly now, so I know what I'm looking for. But, you know, I put a cursory glance over it and thought, you know, it doesn't look too bad. Over there, it looks all right. That looks all right. Spring mount. Actually, you know, apart from the fact that I've been poking around on the top of this rail, you know, it doesn't look too bad, does it? Looks all right, that. Yeah. So that's where I was coming from. I can't go down the other side, I'm afraid, and I'm not into moving it because, check out the nettles. So it's only really when you start digging into these things that you really do get an understanding for how beautifully a Land Rover chassis can hide its rot. And this is, I mean, okay, I'll be honest with you, this car doesn't owe me a huge amount of money. I bought it dirt cheap off a bloke at the pub. And had I known the chassis was this bad before I did all the bulkhead work, I might have been there would have been a different approach on this project. Because I've done a shitload of work, and I've got it all good, and I've sorted it all out, and we're probably about £1,600 worth of parts into this car, which is largely the bulkhead, the suspension, the brakes, sorting the bottom end of the engine out, that seal. And that's where in the fuel tank, of course, and that's really where I am with it. So 1,600 quid plus the dirt cheap value I paid for the car. And the idea was really that the rest of it would be down to my time on it. But hopefully from this, you could start to understand now how I'm so far down the line in this project before I started to realise this chassis is actually not quite as pretty as I thought it was. And like I say, had I not pulled the fuel tank out and not seen all this shit down here, then I probably would never have known. And Mr. MOT would have found that bit. No, he wouldn't have done, because the fuel tank hides it. And he wouldn't have found these bits, because these were all covered up. These are bits that I've done. I mean, I've been hitting this stuff with a hammer. Anyway, all I'm really rabbiting on about here is just, you know, when it comes to buying old Land Rovers, caveat emptor, I'm not bothered about this one. Yeah, in the slightest. I've been a good exercise. I've enjoyed welding the bulkhead up. I'll get more than my investment out if I was to part it. Probably won't part it. Never say never. It's certainly going to sit for a while. It's not going to rust any further. I will sort of put some protection on the hinges on the outside, but it's not going to get any worse, I don't think. The bulkhead's all solid and everything in the interior. It's dry inside, so it's keeping, you know, it's hiding, you know, it's watertight. Weather tight, let's say. But yeah, it's worse than I thought it was going to be, which is good, because it gives you folks something to watch. I mean, if I was to do a series on this thing, and at the moment I'm just trying to weigh up the possibility that I can actually turn a profit on this thing. So £1,600 in parts at the moment, and then another £3,000 worth of parts, plus a fair amount of labour for an unpainted car, but that's on a solid chassis with really good, strong mechanicals, strong electrics. Got shitloads of character. It'll have a pair of new doors. Actually, it'll have 3 new doors. I think when I costed it all up, I looked at replacing the Safari door on the back as well. So it'll have new door bottoms and a Safari door. But then, you know, the rest of it is, it's a van. Why would you want it immaculate? You'd be terrified of putting stuff in it. Well, that's not right. But again, we're kind of doing the project for me then, aren't we? Will I ever learn? I don't know. I just thought you would be interested to see kind of what it was that I was looking at when I thought the chassis was all right. Serviceable. Maybe it just needs a patch. Worst case scenario, a quarter chassis. Do you agree? Am I a complete knob for missing, you know, the chassis rail as you've just seen it? Could I have done better? I don't think so. I think I'm wiser now. I think next time I look at a 1980s Land Rover, I'd heard the reputation for the chassis being made out of tinfoil. And I'm wiser now as a result of this. Not at much cost to myself either, because it's been fun doing it. So really, I think the next stage is going to be, I'm monitoring auctions. There's not that many vans that go around and about. There's quite a few Defenders, 110s, that seem to go through. And they all go at reasonable value. They all go at, you know, but this isn't a 110 and it's not got a 200 TDI or a TD5 in it. And it's kind of, you know, it's not on coil springs. So it's a bit more antiquated, a bit less usable than a Defender 110. But it's still very, very capable, you know, as a van. But it makes it more difficult to value. And I'm not going to bother doing this thing unless it's commercially viable for me. So it could be that it sits and waits for quite a long time. I've got Bob I'm going to do as a preference to this at the moment, because the work I'm doing on Bob's chassis, and I have got a chassis, by the way, it's coming next week. So I can get the chassis back up to its full length again. Hope you're enjoying the Bob Range Rover series. It's all been quite good fun, that one. So this thing, yeah, unlikely I'll break it for parts. It doesn't fit in my kind of, you know, way of doing shit like this. And I think that although, you know, someone out there could benefit from a bulkhead that's been welded up and painted and blah-de-blah-de-blah, and the engine's an absolute peach and the gearbox is beautiful and the 2 axles, new springs on the back, new discs, sorry, new brakes all round, blah de blah de blah de blah de blah. It would kind of just eat a little bit out of my soul, I think, if I was to take it apart. Silly arse. It's only a bloody car, Richard, for crying out loud. It's not a pet. Right, so I hope it makes sense to you now what it was I was looking at. I've got an inquiry outstanding with Richards to find out how long it's going to take them to deliver a chassis, potentially. Because if we've got a 6-month waiting list, then that gives me a bit more time to plan the project through. The intention would still be, if I do re-chassis it, I'll do it over a weekend. And I'll probably do a couple of live broadcasts a day, really on what the plan is, where I am on the plan, challenges I've met, digits I've managed to lose. Tips of digits I've lost, pints of blood I've managed to, spill onto the workshop floor. But it could be quite an enjoyable thing. Just try and keep the kind of the updates to an hour, maybe a live update. I don't know. Could be a laugh. What's the interest out there? What's the appetite for that kind of thing? Or would you rather that I serialised it and did it in half-hour chunks and then broadcast it? Not necessarily as the project's going, because I'll end up doing that project in a weekend anyway, but I could end up with 3-4 weeks worth of footage to upload after that. But if you want live feeds, I could think about that, if I do it. I've said it before, and if someone wants to buy the car and commission me to do the perfect Series 3 109 van for them, as an option, contact me. Dad's registered, the car's registered to my dad, but it's his house, his barn that I've been using while in lockdown. Anyway, that's enough. Too much gabbing on. Hope you're having a good weekend. Subscribe for more. Hit the old dingy bell thing to get instant updates of my uploads. I do try and upload fairly frequently. Contact me directly. Church House Classics, it's all one word, at gmail.com. I've got a website as well. It's on the home page. On the banner of the home page you'll see it. Company website, churchhouseclassics.co.uk. Yeah, and if you've got questions or comments, either down below here or email me. I do look at every single comment and every single email, and where appropriate, i.e. it's a question, I will respond. And if you fancy supporting the channel or buying me a pint, then there's a PayPal me thing in the description below down there. And I very much appreciate everyone who's purchased me a pint or supported the channel in any way whatsoever thus far. It's not mandatory. You don't get anything extra for it other than the satisfaction of supporting the channel, motivating me to do more content. Because this isn't the day job. The day job is fixing these bloody things, not making the videos, but I enjoy sharing the knowledge. It's not so much of a vanity project, for me being on YouTube. It's all about moth. It's all about actually encouraging you folk, you very outstanding people, that you can fix your own Land Rovers. And they're only machines, designed and built by mortals. And the only thing that's questionable out of all that is like an automatic gearbox, which is just witchcraft. Don't go there. I'm going to drag an automatic gearbox apart. I've decided I'm going to get hold of one. I'm going to tear it apart. Probably a Range Rover ZF box. Because when I looked at the parts diagram, I thought, that doesn't look very complicated. And I don't think it is. I just think because of the witchcraft and the wizardry, I've been put off it. And that's been my approach. We're digressing a little bit from this video, but that's been my approach through a lot of kind of my understanding and working on cars and stuff, is that if something's worrying me, like it's a big job and I'm thinking that's a big job, it's difficult, I'll put it off until tomorrow, I actually just go headlong into it these days. Say, right, fuck it, let's tear it apart. What's the worst that's going to happen? Especially if it's a scrap automatic gearbox. Tear it apart and find out what's going on in there. I'm wiser, and I think that is that rule applies pretty much with everything when it comes to cars and vehicles and bits of cars and bits of vehicles and blah de blah de blah de blah. Anyway, I'm rabbiting now. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for watching.